Okay, this is part 2 of the interview. The last one was interrupted by a phone call, and we were about, I don't know, I'd say another 10 minutes into this interview and realized that it wasn't recording. So we're going to go back over and discuss the things that we were discussing. And that was the implementation of Bright Heart Services, telehealth services, and how Wes has really breaking through some new ground and brought something to treatment that was never there before. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the telehealth services again?
So early on in the drug Medi-Cal model, which is the model that all of our residential programs have signed on to, we had a requirement in order to bill for drug Medi-Cal for our services. We had to have a medical doctor as a medical director. Now here in Humboldt County, I'm sure it's no surprise to everybody, but there is a lack of availability for actual doctors who have free time. So I spent many a year trying to find an actual physical doctor that I could contract with, and to no avail. I was not able to get one. Other programs had found some. Waterfront had found Dr. Ruby Bion, and HRC and Crossroads were still in the wind about who was going to be our medical director. And I had stumbled across a company called Bright Heart Health, and they're a telehealth provider, and they have Dr. David Kahn, who's an amazing addiction medicine scientist. It's just, he's groundbreaking, he really is. And we contracted with Bright Heart initially just to serve the purpose of medical director role, so we can enter into the continuum of care in the partnership model. What I didn't know at the time of originally having these contract conversations was just how groundbreaking and innovative this partnership was going to be, because by bringing them on, we were also able to utilize Bright Heart Health Services for MAT services and for mental health services, for telehealth services within our facility, which has greatly increased access to Suboxone, mental health needs, all for our clients here. And the great thing is they remain clients of Bright Heart even after they leave Crossroads, so their connection to services stay. We are the first program of its kind to take on residential treatment and bring in a telehealth medical director and implement MAT services and mental health services using the telehealth model. So it's really an interesting transition to be. When I first started doing this process, I was looking everywhere to find out other programs that had done this before. I was hoping to find somebody who could give me some clues and some advice on, hey, how do you implement telehealth medical director services? And then I found out there is no one out there to give me advice because it hadn't been done yet. Mm-hmm. So here we are. We are now 6 months into this model, and we are innovative. I tell you, we have expanded our services. We have increased retention. Our success rates are up. Client stays are up. Referrals are up. So it's a really beautiful time right now at Crossroads. We are seeing clients being connected to services that used to take us months and months to get them into. And we're seeing them connected to services like Suboxone that we used to have to go to Fortuna for, to Arcata for, all the way out to Kamau. So there were so many different locations that my staff were taking people to all the time for their MAT appointments, and now it's all centralized within one facility, our facility, and they get to do their groups and their appointments and their med checks all with the doctor online right there on our iPad, right in our group room. It's actually pretty amazing. And now we're expanding into mental health services, like I said, and those services took even longer to get people connected with. Yeah. So we're seeing individuals being able to be seen same day and have an appointment within a couple days and being able to be diagnosed and prescribed like that. It's amazing. It's a miracle, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. So, tell me how you think treatment has changed with the pandemic.
Oh, well, so I think there's a few fronts to be watching. One, I think that the need for treatment is going to increase because there's going to be a huge fallout from individuals who experienced SUD during the pandemic. As we watched through several databases, the use of methamphetamine and fentanyl and alcohol increased exponentially throughout that period. At Crossroads being residential, it didn't change much for us because we are residential, so we still do our treatment in person here at the facility. There were just some masking policies we had for staff. Our clients, because they are a quarantine group, they don't have to mask around each other. They're just like a family at home, doesn't have to mask around each other. But it changed the past policies. It changed community gatherings, which were a big portion of residential treatment. Crossroads was really involved in our community with the local AA scene, the NA scene, the church scene. We had events that we threw. Like Recovery Happens in Humboldt. It's the hugest recovery event in Humboldt County, and we had to cancel that. So there's all sorts of things that we lost as opposed during the pandemic. But what we were ahead of was because we were already telehealth, we didn't have to scramble to find telehealth services like all the other agencies did. Like Outpatient had to really scramble to figure out how do they implement group therapy and check-ins and drug tests. And they did a really good job of being able to put something together. But luckily for us, we were already in a position where we said we're already doing telehealth. Our people are already seeing their doctors, and we already have appointments set up. We already have the technology in place. So there wasn't a huge transition for that. And right now, it's actually aided in our ability for COVID responses because we haven't had a COVID outbreak yet at Crossroads. Residential treatment is high risk for COVID because of the community exposure. And so I always say it's not if we experience it, but when we experience it, because we're already set up for telehealth, it's actually very easy for us to switch to a quarantine mode where our clients are quarantined at facility and staff gets to telehealth in. We're actually going to be expanding our group room with bigger technology so that we can have bigger TVs and better camera quality to be able to run groups remotely if we have to deal with it. Because our promise here at Crossroads is COVID or no COVID, we don't stop giving services, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's just a lot, you know, some things have really changed as far as who receives treatment. Crossroads does a health screening prior to getting people in. We do COVID tests when we have symptoms. So far, it's only been colds, and so we're really happy about that. But what we witnessed across the board is in other programs, people stopped taking admissions. You know, they were requiring COVID tests before coming in from everybody, and that meant a lot of people never received treatment because if you can't get people access to care in the moment they're looking for it, a lot of the times you lose them. So I foresee a long fallout period after this quarantine is done where we see the damage for years to come, in all honesty.
Yeah. Have you noticed any changes in the clients as far as their attitudes towards recovery?
Yeah, I would say, well, in comparison to our model or the outbreak?
In comparison to both.
Well, I would have to say that clients definitely have a positive perception with their experience with Crossroads. It is one of our favorite things here at Crossroads is watching the individual's eyes light up when we start to see that they start to feel valued again, appreciated again, and heard again. You know, so I would say that their perspective coming through Crossroads is always a positive one. I mean, we will always have instances where individuals get discharged for major policies being broke, but even those individuals that have those experiences with us still come back the next day and tell us thank you, and they love us and they appreciate us. I don't know if Crossroads has any real enemies out there as far as people that are like, we don't like Crossroads, we never will, that have at least come through Crossroads recently. So most people view Crossroads as a positive place and that we do our best to keep it that way. I mean, we deal with a really sensitive subject. Substance use disorder is a really difficult disorder to deal with. You know, I mean, we lose lives because of it, you know, and people are at their wits' end by the time they bring their family members here and they just want help and everybody just wants a moment to breathe. And Crossroads likes to feel like we give more than just a moment to breathe. We like to return the laughter to the breath.
Oh, yeah. That we do. Okay, Wes, I want to thank you for sitting down with me and doing this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. All right.